Hey guys, today I'm out at Lake Kissimmee. I'm pre-fishing for the KEF event that we're going to have here towards the end of the month, but that's a different story for a different time. What I want to talk about today is how to properly measure your fish on a bump board for these tournaments. Online fishing tournaments, tourney-X and stuff like that have become ever increasingly popular with the increasing popularity of kayak bass fishing and stuff like that. And it's made tournament fishing, competitive fishing, accessible to not only kayak fishermen, but to bank beaters, people who fish from the bank, other boaters as well. And the fact that COVID-19 has quite a few places in lockdown, even though we're beginning to slowly reopen, I've seen some bass boat tournaments, some club tournaments, things like that, switch to online. So it's becoming more popular. There's different leagues and stuff popping up on tourney-X and all over social media all the time. So the one thing I wanted to cover today, and this is more for the noobs and the beginners who are out there trying their hand at this stuff, not so much for the veterans. So sorry you guys, I'll have another video out at some point for you guys, but you can skip this one, or you can watch it, or better yet, you can share it with somebody who wants to get into this kind of stuff and make sure that they know about this. I want to show you how to properly measure your fish on these tournaments so they don't get DQ'd, so that you can do the best that you possibly can, because I see a lot of people just getting into this making tons of mistakes, and even some guys who get excited every now and then who are vets make some mistakes. When I first started doing this, I got deducted a few points. I think I've been deducted a total of 3 fish since I've been doing this, and they were all when I was real early on, because I made these beginner mistakes. So let me dive into how to properly do this so that you don't get deducted any points, that you can might maybe win some cash or win a trophy or something, but be able to do your best in these tournaments. Okay, first things first, there are 2 different boards which have pretty much become the standard for most of these online fishing tournaments. Obviously we're going for length, we're not going for weight. The 2 different boards are this one, which is the KETCH board. It's made in America, it's made out of metal. You can get the troughs on the sides if you want, it's a little bit extra. They're a little bit more expensive, but they're very durable. The other one is the Hog Trough, which is like the one I have here. Hog Trough's made out of plastic. It's not as durable, but it's cheaper, and for me, the fish kind of sit on it just a little bit better than just your standard KETCH board, unless you have the trough sides on it. Now, before you get the boards, there's a couple things you should know before you decide which one you want to get. Obviously, the Hog Trough is cheaper, the KETCH board's more durable. The Hog Trough, I like the fact that the numbers are on the outside. So as the fish is laying there, let's say that my hand is its tail, you can still see the numbers on the outside, where the KETCH board, the numbers are on the inside, or right along the middle center line here of the board. And I've seen some mistakes where people have their tourney tags is right here, and then the fish's tail comes to right there, and because the number's on the inside, you can't see how long the fish is. In some places that's going to lead to a disqualification of that fish, because you can't tell how long the fish actually is. So I like to you have the numbers on the outside. If you have the fish laying on there and you have the KETCH board, make sure that your tourney tag is pushed back if you have one, so that the numbers on the inside are visible. That's the one kind of downfall I see to the KETCH board, is that the numbers are on the inside, and if the fish is covering it up, you're reading it backwards rather than forward. If you get a Hog Trough, the issues with a Hog Trough is some of the brighter colored ones, like the oranges and the yellows especially, these numbers don't come colored in, or these lines. So when you go to take a picture, the fish is on there, you can't see the number sometimes if the sun is hitting it the right way. So you have to color these in. And I've done this with Sharpie. I do this probably once a month to recolor it. You can paint them on, whatever. Just make sure that they are colored on. Otherwise, that'll lead to disqualification as well, because you can't tell how long the fish is, especially with it being so bright. Both boards, with your bump section here, you probably want to add a sticker, or you want to color it in, or do something so that that the people who are judging it can see that the fish's mouth is up against the bump board. They want it up against. You don't want to be trying to get extra lengths or anything like that out of it, just to be fair. Now, the KETCH board, again, is made out of metal, so it's going to sink. You're going to want that thing to be tethered to your boat somehow, or you want to take good care of it. The Hog Trough, even though it's made out of plastic, will still sink, but it comes with these canals on the back where you can kind of stick in foam and stuff, and there are some foam tubes you can put in there, and that'll keep it floating long enough for you to grab it should it fall out of your boat. Either or, absolutely fine, and both are standard so far. So decide on which one you want to do if you want to get starting these tournaments. There's a third one like Fish Stick, but most places don't accept it. I think KBF still does, but places like the HAWG, trail, they're only taking KETCH boards, and most others are taking either Hog Trough or KETCH boards. So decide on which one you want. One's more expensive, one's a little bit cheaper. They both have their benefits, both have their downfalls. And I think KETCH is coming out with a floating board earlier or later this year, so you might want to check that out as well. But once you got your board, you're ready to go. So now we just got to get some fish and get them on the board. So let me show you how to do that. Okay, so check it out. I've got our first fish. So I'm going to set the board down. You can either set the board on your lap, or you can kind of set it down in your kayak like this. I prefer this way. I get a lot less fish jumping off the board that way. Let's get him on a hook here. Okay. So what you want to do here is you want to take the fish and you want to lay it on the board. Now, it's not hot out right now, but if we were hot in the summer, I would dip the board in the water just like this, especially if you've got the KETCH board, because that hot metal is going to hurt the fish. If you think it's hot to hold, just think how the fish feels on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay the fish down on the board. I'm going to make sure that his mouth is closed and is up against the bump board. The angled board kind of helps out with that. I'm going to put my hand on the fish just like this. And as we can see, he's going to get, if I stretch him, 14 inches. Now, you can curve the tail if you want. Sometimes they'll let you pinch it. But you can't touch the tail for any tournament. You can't touch the tail like this. You can't cover his head like this. The reason why is the identifying markers are going to be on the tail, the gill plate, or the eyes. The eyes we want to make sure are fresh. We want to make sure this fish is alive, not that you found some dead looking one and decided to throw him on the board. So what I like to do is I like to put my hand on the fish like this gently. I'm not squeezing it. Sometimes the bigger fish, it may look like I'm gripping it, but it's just their fat kind of squeezing around my fingers. But I'm gonna put my hand on the fish like this, get my camera, and if he flops off, I can pin him. But you see the flop off there, because the board's angled, he kind of just went right back into the kayak. I'm gonna put him back on here. What I like to do, again, is put my hand here. You can put your hand on the fish like this for most tournaments. You can still see the gill plate, the eye, and the tail. This just keeps them from flopping. Now, I like to take a picture with my hand on, get ready, and then immediately take a picture with my hand off. So that way there's no controversy over whether, something's wrong with the fish or not. And then, obviously, we're gonna release this guy. There he goes. All right, took him a second. It's that simple. The biggest things there are you want to make sure that the fish's mouth is up against the bump board and that it's closed. Try to take a picture as quick as possible. He was out of the water a little bit longer than I normally do with, just so I can talk about it, but he's okay. Your first priority should be that fish survives, no matter what. So it's that simple. Don't cover the fish's gill plate with your hands. Don't cover its eyes with your hands. Don't cover the tail. If you want to put your hand in the middle, that's fine. You can use one finger. You can use no hands like I showed you. Once that picture is taken, that's good. So you're good. So if that fish flops off at that point, you're fine. So, got another fish. However, it's a different day, it's a different time, and a different lake. So let's get this one measured up. I'll talk through this one as well. First things first, you want to get the fish off the hook. You can't have any type of hook in the mouth or any type of grip or holding the fish to the board for most tournaments. I've seen a few where you let that slide, like in catfish tournaments, whatever. So I'm going to put him on the board. I'm going to make sure that his mouth is closed the entire way. I like angling it down just so that there is a bit of pressure from gravity doing the work for me, holding his mouth shut. Put my hands on the fish, make sure my identifier's in the shot, make sure that you can clearly see the markings on the board, make sure he's facing left, as most tournaments want the fish to face left. Now that might differ. I've seen ones where they had him facing right. Again, we're not going to cover the eyes, the gill plate, or the tail, because most of the fish's best identifying markers are there. An example of that would be these two big 8-pounders that I caught simultaneously. They were about 20 minutes apart, and they look almost identical, but you can tell by the gill plates that they're not. That's why we don't have this covered. Now if he flops off again, we'll stand up inside the boat like this. A little pressure on him, get him back up. We got our picture taken, he should be good to go. First priority is always to make sure that the fish is okay. He goes. I can still see him sitting down there. So again, it's pretty darn simple. Now Now, I've had big fish flop off the board, so that sucks, but that's just the way it is. That's why I like to keep my hand on the fish until I take the first picture and move my hand quickly, snap the second one real fast, just in case. Okay, so again, to recap, so that you can do the best in your online monthly or weekly tournaments or club tournaments that happen on Wednesdays or Thursdays after work, make sure that once you land the fish, you get the hook out, make sure you aren't strapping it to the board or anything. If you are like some fishermen and you don't want to do it quick, you want to take your time, be a little bit more methodical about it, keep the fish in mind. Some people use what they call a donkey leash, and they'll connect the fish to that and let it swim around until they got everything set up. That usually will keep the fish a lot calmer. You can also use your net and just have it dipped over the kayak if it's a deeper net, or you can use a net well. Any of those methods to kind of keep the fish calm. If you're a little bit slower at this, you want to be more methodical, make sure you get it right, that's absolutely fine. Just make sure that once the fish is out, you take good care of them. Make sure you dip that board in water. Make sure the identifier is visible. Make sure all your markings are visible and they are clear. Get the fish either on an incline like I have in my boat here, or you can have them across your lap. Doesn't matter either way. Make sure the fish's mouth is closed the whole way. Put your hand on the fish if you have to. Take that first picture and remove it real quick and take that second picture. That way you have two if one isn't good enough. I try to snap at least 3 or 4 pics of each fish. Put the fish back in the net or in the live, sorry, not the live, but the donkey leash if you have one of those. That way you can review the photo before you submit it. And then if everything's good, take the fish off, say goodbye, and release it. No matter what happens, your priority is to make sure you take care of that fish and that they have a chance at growing up and becoming bigger. That's why it's called CPR, catch, photo, release. I know a lot of this stuff kind of happened real quick and I'm talking pretty fast, so I'll put the main bullet points up on the screen right here. Okay, lastly, make sure you have fun. This is a real good way for you to still get out and fish and compete, even though we are on quarantine or shelter-in-place orders, depending on where you're at within the nation. And it's a good way for you to make sure that, and by following these simple steps, it's a real good way to make sure that you make the most of every tournament that you enter. Whether you want to do this as a side, kind of like a side gig and earn a little bit of cash here and there, or if you're just competing for fun. Well, that just about does it. I'm out on East Lake and they've got it drawn down quite a bit. So I'm gonna go and hang out with my family, eat some sandwiches and do a little bit more fishing and then call it a day. So if this helped you out, that's great. If you already knew this stuff, but have buddies that don't know this, show them the video so that they can do the best they can in those online tournaments as well. I encourage anybody who wants to try tournament fishing, try the online stuff. It's much easier, it's a lot less expensive, and sometimes it can be more fun. And it's a good way to kind of keep you busy during this whole COVID-19 thing. So until then, stay safe. I'll see you guys probably out in Lake Kissimmee pre-fishing next time.